What a win. What a win. Welcome into the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am your mayor of PHNX. I am joined, of course, by my vice mayor and your thunderstick, the one and only Jesse Friedman. Welcome in to all of you here tonight. And what a wild win that one was, Jesse. Wilder than it needed to be.
It was wild. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how things have been the last few weeks, right? I mean, the Diamondbacks, they just don't win games that aren't close, right? Like they just don't win 6-0 games. That's just not really part of their character.
It can't just be this big one-sided, victory where we just get to take the night off emotionally after the Diamondbacks go up. No. They had to pull us back into it, which you got to admit, it's good drama. It's good TV. It's good TV. As a pro wrestling fan, I appreciate them making me care about a game that at one point I didn't care about anymore because this one was in the deep freeze back when Alec Thomas hit that home run. It was over as far as I was concerned, but these Cubs, they made it very close there in the ninth inning.
Yeah, they did. Kyle Nelson continues to struggle in the second half, and Paul Sewald continues to not look very good, and yet still walk off the mound with a win, which is something that we've said about. Yeah, he's sort of mastered that art. We've seen him do. He only had to get 2 outs, but yeah, he gave up the home run and then was able to get those 2 outs after that. But yeah, I mean, still a huge win for the Diamondbacks, right? I mean, Brandon Pfaadt outpitched Justin Steele. I don't think that many people had that on their bingo card. That Steele was going to give up 6 runs when Brandon Pfaadt was going to go 5 1/3 scoreless innings. The D-backs offense was not necessarily, consistently on Cubs pitching all night, but they had a couple of big innings courtesy of, a pair of 3-run home runs from Lourdes Gurriel and Alec Thomas that were obviously huge. And as things turned out, Derek, they needed both of those 3-run home runs. If it was just Lourdes Gurriel with that 3-run shot, who's to say where we would be right now? So yeah, just a big day for the offense, kind of bouncing back a little bit with some big hits, and a huge day for Brandon Pfaadt stepping up when the Diamondbacks really needed him to.
And of course, we gave the guys that made this game difficult top billing here when we started talking about this show. But Brandon Pfaadt obviously deserves all of the flowers tonight. Everything was working for him, including locating his fastball and getting his sweeper sweeping. I didn't update. I don't know if I updated this. I had 3 whiffs on his fastball and 5 whiffs on his sweeper.
He had 4. He had 4 on the 4-seamer, 2 on the sinker, and 5 on the sweeper when it was all said and done. Yeah,
I mean, he just had everything working for him tonight. And I guess the one thing here is his line ended up being that Brandon Pfaadt went 5 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, but pulled out of the game by Torey Lovullo with only a pitch count of 73. And I know that's on a lot of people's minds and should be, considering the way that this game ended up going and the amount of arms that Torey had to use in order to close this game out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it had to do with Brandon Pfaadt's numbers the 3rd time through the order. I mean, I'm sure it's no coincidence that Brandon Pfaadt got Nico Horner, who singled, right-handed hitter. And then, once you get to Ian Happ, who's a switch hitter, but has, is better against righties than he is against lefties. Then he had Cody Bellinger, who I believe has reverse splits this year, but historically has been better against righties than lefties. That's the spot where Torey Lovullo decided to make a move. And there is some statistical backing to that. I mean, Brandon Pfaadt this year, if you look at his numbers as a starter the 3rd time through the order, opposing teams have teed off on Brandon Pfaadt in those situations. I believe his opponent's slugging percentage, I don't have it in front of me, I want to say it was 757. I think his opponent OPS the 3rd time around is about 1,200. So, I mean, those are scary numbers, right? I mean, those are really, really big numbers. So I think that's probably where Torey Lovullo was coming from. But at the same time, I mean, Pfaadt accumulated those numbers in situations where his stuff didn't look like it did today, right? Yeah. Where he didn't have the command that he did today. So it still kind of feels like there's a world in which you leave Brandon Pfaadt in that spot and he finishes a pretty clean 6th inning and he's able to go out there for the 7th.
I think that's where I'm at, if I'm being honest. I feel like yes, there are times where he's gotten rocked, but were those the times where he was dialed in? It's not to say that we've seen him, get those chances very often. It's not like he has been this good in very many other of his other starts, right? So it's like I don't know. I do get it though, because Torey's trying to manage this to a win, and he doesn't want to see it suddenly go sideways on him. And this man has been front row for so many of those occasions, especially when it involved Brandon Pfaadt. The offense did help Brandon Pfaadt out. They definitely gave him a lead early on. They also helped Zach Gallen out a little bit in his Cy Young bid by doing all of this against what many consider to be the front runner for the NL Cy Young now, which is Justin Steele. And that big first inning definitely was unexpected, but it gave Brandon Pfaadt, I think, a nice start. Just kind of have that 3-run lead early on, and to be able to, to pitch confidently with that kind of lead. But big shout out to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. for hitting that home run. He's been fairly good at home. That's his 4th home run in his last 7 games at Chase Field. And of course, that was enough at the time, seemingly, with how Brandon Pfaadt was pitching and how some of the bullpen arms pitched. Looked like that was going to be enough to get the Diamondbacks the win. However, Alek Thomas did add to that with his 2nd home run against a lefty this season, and now just the 3rd of his entire career, Jesse. But hey, he picked a great time to do it because the Diamondbacks needed that extra boost, as we would see later on in this game.
Yeah, they did. And going back to what you said about Justin Steele earlier, I have to be honest and say I think that the Diamondbacks helped out Blake Snell more than they did Zach Gallen in the Cy Young race.
That's
at this
absolutely
point. I still think Gallen is pretty far outside this race after 3 of his past 4 outings going the way they did.
Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, to get to Justin Steele that quickly, that early in the game, I think it was huge for the Diamondbacks. We saw Corbin Carroll lay down a bunt in that first inning as well, which was another, sort of controversial situation. Yeah, Cattell is on to lead off the game, and then Corbin bunts him to second with 1 out. Some people might be wondering, what are you doing bunting a guy over from first to second when it's your best hitter at the plate and it's only the first inning in a scoreless game? It kind of feels like the D-backs just really wanted to get a run on the board. Like they really just wanted to shake off whatever happened in New York and try to get off on the right foot and get a run on the board in the first inning, even if it meant sacrificing a potentially bigger inning. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if that situation necessarily panned out for them the way that they were looking for. It wasn't an RBI single that scored the run in that first inning, but Lourdes Gurriel came through with an enormous hitting, and Christian Walker also set him up, right? It was a runner at second with 2 outs, or I think maybe a runner had moved to third at that point. And Christian Walker has a nice patient at bat and is able to draw a walk. And then Lourdes, I think it was the first pitch of the at bat. He gets exactly what he's looking for. It was a slider down and in, the honey hole to the right-handed hitter. And Lourdes did with that pitch what he's done to some of those types of pitches this year, right? If you pitch inside, if you pitch middle in to Lourdes Gurriel, occasionally that's the result. It was his 24th homer of the season, which is it's a pretty impressive number for him.
It absolutely is. And I mean, Christian Walker, or just taking a step back to Christian Walker, they talked about him being more patient at the plate, which is something we've discussed. We've kind of seen him go out there at times and not really show a lot of plate. I wouldn't say plate discipline, but like just swinging early, popping up, or we even saw him the other day, I think, pop out in a big at bat with a 3-0 count and things like that. So it's like, it's good to see Christian Walker take the 2 walks that he did in this game. And coincidentally enough, he did score both of the times that he got on base due to the walk. So it ended up being important that he was a duck on the pond for both Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Alek Thomas. But yeah, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., I mean, you can't say enough about his production. There's a lot to be said. I think it was your former co-host, Jeff Weiser, who very eloquently discussed it on Twitter about how, it's sometimes it's like when the wins came, like if you were to look at this season at the end of the season, compared to what your expectations were at the beginning of the season, you probably wouldn't have considered this season at all to be a failure. but it's hard not to look at the stretches they had and not be disappointed by the results, considering that they were so bad during a stretch in July and part of August that really, sunk them, now that these games are so close and that everything between us and the other teams are so tight, right? But I feel like it's a similar thing with Lourdes. If you look at Lourdes Gurriel's overall numbers for the season, you would say that this entire trade and Gabby Moreno with Toronto is a smashing success, and that Lourdes has put up some career numbers this season and has continued to just be a big part of this offense. In fact, he's our king snake for tonight, because that big 3-run home run put the Diamondbacks up early and definitely was pivotal in tonight's win. Unfortunately, they also did need Alec Thomas's 3-run home run as well in order to secure this win with the way things went in the 9th inning. Alec Thomas, definitely an honorable mention for King Snake in regards to his contributions. But Gabriel Moreno went 3 for 3 against Justin Steele and went 4 for 4 overall in tonight's game. He was definitely missed when he was out on paternity leave, and now that he's back, the Diamondbacks instantly are scoring offense. He didn't have a big part in the run scoring tonight, but he was still 4 for 4 and continues just to be an incredible hitter for this team.
Yeah, I tweeted it out. Gabby Moreno against lefties this season is now hitting .361 with a .557 slugging percentage. That'll play. He's frankly been one of the best hitters in baseball against lefties this season. His numbers against righties have also picked up quite a bit as well. I think his OPS there, though, is still below 700. He's done a lot of his damage this year against lefties. And yeah, he had a 4-hit day altogether. I believe it was the first 4-hit day of Gabby Moreno's career. And he just continues to look like a different hitter since coming back from his injury about a month ago now. He is hitting .329, .384, .582. That's his slash line since coming off the injured list with that shoulder injury on August 13th. That's an 86 plate appearances, I believe. So yeah, if Gabby Moreno has power, that's a really big development. It's one thing to be a 270, 280 hitter, where it's mostly singles. It's another thing to do what Gabby Moreno has done over the last month, which is basically slug 600. If this trend continues, that's a very big development for Moreno and the Diamondbacks.
Carlos said there in the chat, Gabby's got that dad strength now. The league ain't ready. Exactly. There's another level of patience that comes with being a parent, and I think that's going to transfer right over to the batter's box. But let's also give credit where credit is due to the parts of the bullpen that worked. Saul Frank was excellent once again. Ryan Thompson has still not allowed a run as a member of the Arizona Diamondback. This is
he's barely allowed a hit. Is he allowed a hit?
He is allowed one hit. One hit. That's it. He has just allowed one hit since becoming an Arizona Diamondback. It's wild to me, right? Because this man was not this good with Tampa, and yet he comes over. This is like one of those like clean slate, change of scenery kind of situations. I feel like he knows what he is because his numbers aren't flashy. What's flashy is the lack of anything happening, right? Like he goes out there and gets ground balls and gets the job done. He gets pop outs, whatever. Like he gets the job done. He doesn't have a lot of strikeouts, doesn't have a lot of anything like that, but he also has not given up a lot of hits. He's given up the one hit. He has worked now it would be 6 2/3 innings pitched. And I don't know. He just continues to be incredible since he became part of this organization.
Yeah, it still blows my mind that Andrew Saalfrank was a minor leaguer until I believe it was September 4th, I want to say is the day he was called up, which is 11 days ago, as we record right now. And then Ryan Thompson, he was let go by the Tampa Bay Rays. The Diamondbacks picked him up. They sent him to Reno. So he was in AAA as of just a few weeks ago as well. And these guys have come up to the majors and had some early success. And with the state of this Diamondbacks bullpen, you rattle off 4 or 5 good outings, man, you're pitching in the 7th inning in a high leverage situation, because that's just the way that things go right now with the back end of this D-backs bullpen. They need that kind of stability, and they've found it with those 2 guys so far.
I'm going to defend for a moment here Ryan Thompson's season, just because I'm looking back at his numbers and I wanted to see where things went wrong. Jesse, through May 6th, he had a 1.80 ERA.
Yeah.
Through May 7th, he had a 2.45. Then you have a bad outing here where he gives up in 1 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 5 earned runs. Since that bad outing, he has given up 4 earned runs since May 13th at a major league level. Like you said, he did spend some time in July and most of July and August, or excuse me, most of June, July, and August, not pitching at a major league level. But man, let me tell you, it's like it's not a big sample size for his lack of success. It's almost just one really bad outing, considering he's a reliever, like screwed up his entire season. It almost feels like. I mean, he only has 2 games this year, 3 games this year where he's given up 2 earned runs. So I mean, like, you know, when you're a reliever, that's all it takes really to make your numbers look absolutely atrocious, I guess. I don't know, but
well, I mean, when you pitch for the Tampa Bay Rays, right, and especially at that time, I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays were just on a completely different level than basically the rest of the league for a while there. The bar is set pretty high, right? I mean, Ryan Thompson just 2 years ago had a 2.38 ERA, was a pretty big part of that Rays bullpen last year. Not quite as good. He still had a 3.80 ERA. And this year, to your point, you look at his numbers. I mean, the man has given up 15 hits in 24 1/3 innings, combining his numbers in Tampa with his numbers in Arizona. Opposing hitters are hitting 174 off him, and he has a whip of 0.90. There are some numbers here that are actually the best of his career, not the worst. So, I mean, I think it was a great pickup by the Diamondbacks. They signed him to a minor league deal 3 days after the Tampa Bay Rays DFA'd him, and I think it was, you know, a sort of an incentive, or probably some incentives in the contract, but basically a deal where if the D-backs didn't call him up to the majors as of a certain date, then Thompson would have had the ability to walk and go elsewhere. But the Diamondbacks did call up Thompson to the majors by that specific date, and he has been lights out ever since.
And we should all be glad they did. Another guy that's been lights out is Kevin Ginkel. He tossed another scoreless inning and continues to lower his ERA. This man, another, I guess you could say another almost mistake, you know, the way that he was once cast off and sent down to AAA, but currently has a 2.23 ERA this season, Jesse. And like, I don't know, there's few, there's the new guys that have been impressing me, Saul Frank, you know, Thompson, but Kevin Ginkel just feels like the security blanket. It's just warm. It's got the good edge, you know, the nice velvety edge of a blanket that's like just a quality, you know, blanket. But Kevin Ginkel's just been incredibly good as a reliever for this team.
The Diamondbacks, frankly, only have one reliever who has been consistently good the entire season, and it's Kevin Ginkel. And I don't think there's anyone else that even remotely belongs in that conversation, frankly. Paul Sewald has only been here for a portion of the year, and you know, he's gotten the job done, but as we talked about earlier, he's been pretty shaky. Other relievers have had their moments. Scott McGough was really good for about a month. Kyle Nelson was really good in the first half. Andrew Chafin early in the season had a nice run. Even Miguel Castro was getting some big high leverage outs early in the season. But there's only one guy who has been consistently good just the entire way, even though he was sent down to Reno right back in June for a span of a couple of weeks. The Diamondbacks' best reliever by far pitched in AAA for a portion of this season, but he just continues to be a staple at the back end for this team.
Brandon has the right idea here, Jesse. He says, Ginkel, Thompson, I legitimately trust. Saul Frank, Sewald, and Zavala, I'm close to trusting. Zavala should absolutely be in there as one of your most trusted.
Yeah, so do some weak contact the other night, Derek. You have to let you. There's not much swing and miss there, but you know,
you got the job done, Jesse. You got the job done. The numbers aren't sexy, just like Ryan Thompson's, but he got the job done. Well, you guys are hilarious, and we appreciate you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Leave us a thumbs up. Like I've said, that's our little attaboy that makes me feel good about doing this show. Of course, if you're listening, there it is. Drop a like. Look at that guy. Jesse, get out of his way. Get out the other way, the other direction. Lean the other direction. You're leading into him. Get out. There we go. Get out of the way. Me and Gabby Senior now, by the way. Yo, Gabby. Drop a like. Do what Gabby says and drop a like. Of course, also, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, you didn't get to see all that magicness. It was like this giant drop a like ad up on the screen. Smash that like button, like Hog says. Again, if you're on the audio podcasting side, you can leave us a review. We appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribed there as well. If you have not signed up for BetMGM, we implore you to do so. I promise you that it will make watching all sports better. And the sports season, the best time of the year is here. It's almost the baseball postseason. You got all of this other sports coming up. You got lots of things going on. You got basketball, hockey right around the corner. Football's already in swing. I know because I'm leading our fantasy football league on PHNX. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But you know what you can do is if you're new to BetMGM, you can place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10, and you will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. All you have to do is place a wager in the amount of at least $10 at a standard odds price on a qualifying bet. Once you have placed a qualifying bet, you'll receive those $200 in bonus bets, regardless of your outcome of your wager. And of course, I've won some, I've lost some, I've hit some big parlays this week. It was a big week for hitting parlays. And of course, one thing to look out for on BetMGM is all of their odds boosts. One of the ones I got for the NFL boosted my winning, doubled it for that Cardinals game. So I didn't have to go all crazy on the selections I made for my self-made same game parlay. I just had to throw a couple of things in there, get a decent, I think I got it up to plus 600, plus 650. It doubled it to plus 1300. So do not miss out on the odds boosts. Sometimes you got to opt in for those. So make sure to pay attention to all of the offers up at the top in your app. Again, sign up for BetMGM and use bonus code PHNX. Place your first bet offer, your first bet through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10. You will receive that $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
We don't do that on Fridays, Damon. We do that on Mondays.
Did I hear the Mailbag Monday theme for a second there?
Every time I hear Shane's voice, I just think about how much I miss him. By the way, Shane has literally left us for 4 months to travel around the country to do his amazing videos at football tailgates all around the nation. This is incredible. It's allegedly, what Shane was born to do. What's that?
Allegedly. We don't know where Shane is.
No, you're right.
We don't know what Shane is actually doing right now.
Cover. You are right. Like, I'm not going to ask any questions about that, but I don't know if he's actually involved in the production of any of these videos that we end up seeing, right? Like, who's the man behind the camera? It could be anybody. Allegedly. You're right. I don't know why I believe these things. This is why Jesse is our journalist. I'm too gullible. I'm too naive. I just believe anything. I just go with the flow too much. But I will tell you this. I know at least movies and television shows, which Jesse absolutely knows none of those things. So depending on what your necessities are, we hope to meet all of your needs for entertainment and journalism, I guess. But another source of trying to meet all of your needs for all of that stuff is Fubo TV. It's got 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. And you can stream Fubo TV from any device. You can watch the most Arizona sports for the lowest price. No contract, no cable, no sign up, none of that stuff. Or no hassle. You do have to sign up. But once you sign up, you can start watching immediately with 1,000 hours of cloud DVR storage included at no extra charge. So make sure to not miss out on all of that stuff I talked about earlier that's coming up here right around that corner. Don't miss out on football. They have the Red Zone over there. Red Zone's the best thing to watch football on. We've all agreed about that. But watch all of your favorite college football and the NFL with Fubo. Go to FuboTV.com/PHNX to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. today in baseball was Roberto Clemente Day around baseball, or Jesse, as I like to call it, the reason why I knew baseball existed as a small child, because I'm Puerto
Really?
Rican, and
Wow.
Roberto Clemente is I can't stress enough how big of a hero Roberto Clemente is. Like, more than like politicians on the island, more than like, I mean, the most famous of famous people. I mean, this is how famous Roberto Clemente is. He is one of 10 people that are an actual like official national hero of the island, and the other 9 are all people that were involved in like politics and the like the freedom, like freeing the people on the island, like bigger things as far as like the island went, and being what they are today. And Roberto Clemente, he was just a 15-time All-Star. That's all he was. But the man was he was such an amazing person and such an amazing like part of baseball. It's just crazy to think that like he died in a plane crash on New Year's Eve trying to deliver aid to people who needed it. Like that's such a I mean, that's the reason why he's beloved, and that's the reason why he's considered to be the hero he was. He was always trying to he was always involved in charity work and delivering aid to like Latin American countries and Caribbean countries and things like that. But it's just wild to really think about, like, the NL MVP, the 1971 World Series MVP, also jumping on a plane like 2 years after he won a World Series and was the MVP, and going to deliver aid himself. Like what a selfless act of being so directly involved in trying to positively impact the lives of others, of people that need help. You know what I mean? Like, that's just why he's such a big part of this game, and why he's honored the way he is to this day. But yeah, I mean, like, he's beloved in a way that I honestly did not understand myself until I got old enough to understand the impact that he truly had. Right. Because like, I just always want to know why we had all this Pittsburgh Pirates stuff in my house. That's why I like that was my main question. Like, we were not Pittsburgh Pirates fans. Why do we have all of this stuff in my house? And that's pretty much until I was like about 8 or 9 did I really start to, not question why all that stuff was around, and that it was more about just one person. But
yeah, you had a decent baseball career, Derek.
He did.
He had 351 in 1961. He had 357 in 1967. He led the league in batting average 4 separate times. He had a 317 career batting average, which is really just insane. I mean, something just doesn't really happen anymore at this point. 240 career home runs, just an incredible all-around player. As you said, a 15-time All-Star. That seems decent. Almost 100 wins above replacement in his career, according to Baseball Reference. So yeah, he did some cool things, for some people.
He did, but he also did some cool things in baseball.
He did some cool things in baseball too. Just the kind of guy that, I mean, everyone obviously. He was just an incredible example of what it looks like to not only be an incredible pro athlete, but also to, give back to your community. And, it's something that a lot of players now are kind of looking back on his example and I don't know if anyone is really doing quite what Roberto Clemente did, but, trying to give back in whatever way they can.
And I mean, if they did, like, I don't know if anybody would let a player directly be so involved in
there would
distribution
be some serious,
of aid, where he's going himself with, like, with the stuff and just everything that ended up causing his death due to that particular flight that he was on. Right. But also, like, I grew up in a world where I couldn't imagine a lot of things that I read about in history books, including losing someone that was as important to the game of baseball as Roberto Clemente due to something like this, until what we went through with, like, Kobe. And I felt like, even though Kobe wasn't on like a humanitarian thing or whatever, Kobe was just like a beloved athlete that was one of the best to ever play his game. And like, just to lose him so tragically, like, it was the one time it was where I could finally be like, my God, this, like, I didn't have anything ever to compare it to, but like, that's the closest thing I can imagine. And I know, like, at the time it was, an absolute tragedy, in the sports world, much like what we went through with Kobe Bryant. So like, it's just something that's hard to imagine, especially considering, like I said, that the man, it happened like a year and a half after he was the World Series MVP in 1971. Like, it's just crazy, but absolutely tremendous person, and like absolutely definitely should be somebody that's honored the way that baseball honors him. And they do have the Roberto Clemente Award, which Nick Ahmed, I think someone's bringing up, is somebody that people, the Diamondbacks nominated, and absolutely somebody that deserves the nomination. He is an incredible person when it comes to giving back his community and just everything else he's involved with. But I mean, this was a day that definitely was an important day for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Roberto Clemente Day. When you look around baseball, we take a look at the scoreboards. Things didn't really go their way as far as the other scores for the teams that are also in this wild card race. The only thing I think really the only ball that bounced their way was maybe in that Colorado game. That was such a wild game going there into I think the 8th inning, or was it the 8th or the 9th? The Colorado Rockies through 8, they had a no hitter going on, and then the Giants busted that up in the 9th.
Yeah, it was such a hilarious game. I think both of us were kind of like watching it on the side as the Diamondbacks game was going on. Yeah, I mean, the Rockies had a combined no-hitter going through 8 innings, but they were also down 1-0 heading into the bottom of the 8th inning. They hadn't scored themselves. Logan Webb was on the mound for the Giants. Of course, he's one of the best starters in the National League. Chase Anderson started this game for the Colorado Rockies, who, of course, Diamondbacks legend, right? Chase Anderson, former Diamondback. Chase Anderson came in with, I think, basically the highest ERA of any starter who had thrown like 70 or more innings or something this season. Like, he had not been a good pitcher for the Rockies coming into this game. But, this is sort of the you can't predict baseball moments, right, where Chase Anderson goes out there and dominates, and the Rockies, relievers were kind of doing the same thing. And then the Rockies were able to tie it up at 1 in the bottom half of the 8th inning. They were trailing 1-0. They tied up at 1. And then heading to the 9th, they still had the no-hitter going. That no-hitter was broken. I think it was JD Davis, I want to say, who broke that. And then from there, the Giants took a lead. They had a 2-1 lead in the top of the 9th, and then courtesy of a throwing error in the bottom half of the 9th inning, the Rockies were able to walk it off. So just a crazy game all the way around.
Welcome in, AZ Sports Girl 224. You're late. I will be marking that on your record, by the way, but good to see you. Gabriel Ferreira makes a great point. He says the new wild card format is saving baseball. There's over 10 teams whose fate is not determined at this point in the season. Lots of teams are a good, bad week away from winning, losing everything. And that is such a great point. It's what's making it so much fun to watch this. And honestly, there aren't a lot of games left. And it feels once again like every single series, every single game is a playoff series. Let's take a look at that scoreboard real quick once again, just because I wanted to get the scores for the audio listeners out there. The Atlanta Braves lost to the Miami Marlins for some inexplicable reason by a score of 6-9. The Mets went right back to being who we thought they were. They lose to the Cincinnati Reds 5-3. So of course there's 2 teams that we needed to lose that didn't. Milwaukee wins, so they maintain their lead, or extend it, I guess you could say, on the Chicago Cubs after they lose 5-3. They beat the Washington Nationals. Phillies beat St. Louis 5-4, and again the Colorado Rockies win that game 3-2. So let's take a look how this impacts the wild card standings, because it absolutely does for the D-backs. Once again, here we are back in this weird, okay, now there's a completely reshuffle of the same teams, and they're in just different spots. The Reds and Diamondbacks are tied at 77 and 72. Of course, the Reds hold the tiebreaker over the D-backs should they end up tied at the end of the season. The Marlins are a half game back, and the Giants now 1 full game back. But this list is getting a little bit slimmer. It's getting a little bit slimmer. There's definitely a lot. I mean, they're not eliminated yet, but there's a lot of teams that there is some distance between them, and they probably won't be able to make up any ground to get back into this. So these teams are the ones we will be fighting with to the end. And of course, after the Diamondbacks have this series with the Cubs, they go on to a pivotal 2-game series with the San Francisco Giants.
I think at this point, the ship is basically sailed for the Cubs to catch the Brewers. I want to say it's 5.5 games at this point that the Cubs trail the Brewers in the Central. So, I mean, 5.5 games with, 13, 14 games to go. That's
we did that
impossible.
to them. We ruined that for them.
Yeah, and the Rockies, right? They just lost the Cubs just lost 2 out of 3 to the Rockies before coming to Arizona. So, yeah, I mean, the Cubs are still, I mean, they're not safe, right? I mean, after the way that they've played over the last week, they lost 3 out of 4 to the Diamondbacks, 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. So the first game here against the D-backs in this series, I mean, because of this stretch, suddenly the Cubs are not as safe as we might have thought they were, last week at this time. So they're only a game and a half at this point ahead of the Diamondbacks, ahead of the Cincinnati Reds. The other big takeaway from today is the Diamondbacks do now have the tiebreaker with the Chicago Cubs. So if somehow, some way that, were to come down to the D-backs and the Cubs having the exact same record at the end of the season, that is possibly the one tiebreaker that the D-backs would win. They've already lost the tiebreaker to the Reds, already lost the tiebreaker with the Marlins. Currently, not in good position with the Giants. They would have to win both games in that series next week in order to flip that tiebreaker in their favor. But yeah, that is it really could come into play. I mean, it felt like the Cubs and the Phillies were sort of doing their own thing at the top of this wild card race, but the Cubs have fallen quite a bit here over the last few days.
Yeah, well, I mean, we need anything we can get, and of course, that's why this was so important. I didn't expect the Diamondbacks to do this to the Cubs. And at this point, obviously, they still haven't won this series yet. But should they win this series, I think that this was actually quite impressive. And I know what happened in New York happened. I can't explain how the Diamondbacks still just can't figure out the Mets. But I kind of overlooked the Mets, which maybe that was the problem. I was really concerned about these two series with the Cubs. I just didn't know that it would come down to potentially helping the Diamondbacks maybe slide into that second position, or at least just secure, one of the two positions. Them and the Reds might take over and the Cubs fall out of things. So it'll be interesting how this plays out. And I know I've said that probably 1 million times on this show, but it really is. It's so much fun.
It will be interesting.
It will be interesting. It's just, but it's just like, I don't know. I mean, baseball tends to be one of those sports that the division leaders run away with it. The wild card teams are usually pretty damn good. So like maybe in the past, I remember, an occasion or two where there was a fight for the wild card spots or whatever, but this has just felt different. And I think this is much like the pitch clock in tonight's game, almost being this close to being, a 2-hour game. These are things that are making baseball more fun to watch. And I think it is going to be the kind of thing that brings more viewers in, which is essentially the goal with everything they're trying to do with this type of stuff.
Yeah, to the earlier point of, this wild card format saving baseball. I definitely see where we're coming from on that. I mean, yeah, the Diamondbacks wouldn't. I mean, I guess they still would, right? If we had 2 wild card spots, the Diamondbacks are just talking about how close they are to the Cubs. This National League race is crazy enough that a lot of these teams would still be involved in the race. I'm not sure if I love the addition of the third wild card in both leagues. I still think 12 playoff teams out of 30, in a sport like baseball where there's just so much volatility and teams in the playoffs can so easily just have a bad few games and lose to teams that are far inferior to them. So I still honestly don't love it, but I understand where people are coming from.
That's all sports, man. And I mean, you're giving people a series. Like, I get what you're saying though. Like, especially
baseball's just different. Baseball's different. Like in the NBA, as much as I think it's stupid to basically have 20 playoff teams at this point, which is basically what the NBA has, like the 1 or 2 seed in the NBA just isn't going to lose like the 8 or 9 seed or whatever. I know there are some examples, but extraordinarily rare. In baseball, that can really happen, right? Like the Braves could drop a series to, if I don't know, some team like the Padres. Like if the Padres were in the playoffs and the Braves played the Padres, obviously it's not going to happen this year. But would it be impossible for the Padres to win a 7-game series or a 5-game series over the Braves? Absolutely, it would be possible, right? I mean, that's just the nature of the sport compared to others. So I still don't love it, but Yeah, I know people are saying I'm no fun, but that's my
I'm
old
just letting you cook.
opinion
Just
today.
go ahead. Just talk your talk, man. Just talk.
I
Bet the
will
under,
say,
Jesse. Just bet the under.
like I said before, though, if the third wild card spot didn't exist, the Diamondbacks still have something to play for right now,
That's
right? The
absolutely
Marlins
fair.
still have something to play for.
So
the
would
Reds,
all these
the
teams,
Giants, all of these teams still have something to play for.
Very true. Very, very true. Well, I'll tell you, you have something to play for, and that is the fact the Diamondbacks still have some home games that you can attend. You can show up. You can root this team on. They definitely need your support. They need you to come out, and a great way to get your tickets to that is by going through Game Time. Again, Game Time allows you to wait until the last minute and get the best deals on last minute tickets. And then that way, if you have the ability to go, if you're free that day, you don't have to try to plan things out or move things around. You can just grab tickets to a baseball game and go, because there aren't a lot of baseball games left. There are 2 more games in this Cubs series. There are 2 more games against the Giants, and then there are 3 more games against the Astros, and that is it, folks. That's it for the regular season of baseball. Even at 162 games, somehow it seems to come and go pretty quickly. But you can get your tickets to these last couple of games through Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code PHNX to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute ticket deals, lowest price guaranteed. And also make sure that if you are going anywhere here in the Valley, you get yourself a pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Shady Rays is it's a must-have for all residents of the Valley and anywhere where the sun shines, because it is gear built to last. Premium polarized shades from an independent sunglass company with a world-class product. And of course, they also have the most insane protection plan in all of eyewear. They have their lost and broken replacement plan, which they told us if you lose or break your Shady Rays, even on day 1, they will send you out a brand new pair, no questions asked. So you can shop their entire collection here in town at Kierland Commons. You can also buy online, and if you like the ones you get, you keep them. They're great. They fit you great. They're inexpensive, but they're high quality. They're durable glasses. If you don't like the sunglasses you get, you can return them, get your money back. You can return them for a different pair within 30 days, and you will get either your money back or your brand new pair for free. Shady Rays has your back long after you shop, so there is no risk when you do shop with them online. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Also, speaking of rave reviews, get yourself a Die Hard membership. Shout out to our newest Die Hard, Brian, who signed up today. I know Brian's been on our show in our chat before. And of course, we always love when you guys finally just join us. Just do it. I mean,
finally,
it pays for itself.
Brian.
Finally, what were you waiting for so long, Brian? No, Die Hard membership actually is a great value. You get your $50 gift certificate from Mountain Mike's. You get a free t-shirt or hat from the PHNXlocker.com. Right there, pays for your stuff. Then you get all these other benefits, 20% off all future purchases. You get yourself a Dobson Ranch card. Forgetting all of the great stuff. You get Jesse's newsletter full count. You get all the wonderful newsletter, all the wonderful content from all of our writers. Nothing is locked to you as a diehard. You also get access to our members only Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. You get discounts with our partners. You get exclusive merchandise. You get exclusive invites to events and so much more. So Cog says the Discord rocks. He's absolutely right. Become a diehard today. And yes, Arizona Sports Girl, you will absolutely have to become a diehard. So join us over here immediately. There were some pre-game takeaways, including a not so great update about our pal Drey Jameson, which puts fire in my blood, Jesse. I don't like to hear negative things coming out about Drey Jameson and his rehab. So what's going on there?
Yeah, it sounds like Drey Jameson has basically been shut down. Torey Lavello said that his progress has been stopped and pulled back. Those were his exact words. Drey Jameson apparently experienced some arm tenderness, is how it was described. So Torey said there had been some sort of imaging done, but he didn't know the results of that as of yet. So hopefully we'll get some more information on that. But Torey didn't say this, Derek, but I feel pretty safe saying that Drey Jameson's season is probably over at this point. it already seemed pretty unlikely for him to be able to find his way back.
Right
now, if they're shutting him down, if he's not throwing anymore, it's hard to see how he could pull it together. And in basically 2 weeks, that's all we have left at this point.
I know you have no way of knowing this. I know this would be pure speculation, but do you think that this is a bad sign that maybe he might end up needing surgery that he was trying to avoid? Or do you think this is just potentially trying to let him rest and again, not have any more stress put on that arm?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, if they did imaging, then obviously it's to the point where they want to check and make sure that they know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
I can't say anything for sure, but the D-backs sounded pretty confident in the last few weeks, at least, that Drey would be able to avoid Tommy John surgery. Torey has said that he's more confident than he was when Drey initially made that decision and decided to go that direction. I'm not sure how much this situation changes that, if it changes that at all. But yeah, I mean, it's never good. I mean, if you're experiencing tenderness, is basically a code word for pain, right?
Cramping, tenderness.
And yeah, that's just that's obviously not a good sign. So we'll see where it goes, and hopefully for Drey, he's able to avoid that.
I am no doctor. I am no medical professional, but the way I've kind of felt is kind of, I guess, how Elise put it here in the comment. She said he just needs to get the Tommy John instead of delaying the inevitable and wasting 3 more months. The non-surgery approach doesn't normally work. That was my first reaction when I heard that he wasn't going to have the surgery. But that's only because we're so conditioned to hearing, like you said, the code words that we hear about a pitcher specifically and where those ailments are occurring. And usually we instantly know that means that there's a good chance this could result in Tommy John surgery or, or at least being shut down for a significant period of time. That's what we're seeing now out of Drey, the shutdown. But let's hope that he doesn't need the surgery, because that would be a tremendous amount of time lost on top of the time he's already lost.
Yeah. I mean, the timing is really what's important. To this point, they haven't really lost anything, because they knew that if Drey had Tommy John surgery 2 months ago, he wasn't going to pitch next year, almost certainly.
Right. Right.
And if he has Tommy John surgery now, or in the next month, he's also not going to pitch next year.
That's
but
fair.
Theoretically would still be okay for the year after. So
season.
Yeah, so you just have to hope that this isn't a situation where he continues to just kind of work through it for now and come into next season, and then he later finds out that he actually needs surgery, and then you're talking about potentially cutting into his 2024 season as well, or his 2025 season as well. My gosh, next year's 2024. We're like 4 months away from 2024. That's terrifying.
I know. I'm well aware of that. Time just flies by me, Jesse. At this age, it's just 2019, 2022, 2024. That's where I'm at now. I don't even know anymore. But oh man, yeah, like this is not great, but we absolutely wish Drey the best, and we hope to hear the best when it comes to his rehabilitation. But Torey also had a fairly strong message for his players today, and I don't think that it's nothing. I don't think it's anything you wouldn't expect a coach to say, but yeah, I mean, it was the kind of thing that puts fire in your blood. It's the kind of thing that makes you want to run through a goddamn brick wall for Torey Lovullo. And that was that he said this: give me everything you got for 14 days. Give me your best 14, and do it for me. Do it for the coaches that are there training you and talking to you. Do it for your brother that is sitting next to you.
You just have to hope that he said 14 games, not 14 days, because the D-backs actually have 16 days left in the season. So, if they're great for 14 days, Derek, but they're really not for
Jesse, get out. Get out.
We'll know why.
David, right? Make him leave the fucking thing now. I'll do the rest of the show by myself. Here I was being inspirational, and you're going to shut me down in that moment? You're going to shut me down when I'm getting ready to get fired up, Jesse? Oh my God, what is wrong with you? I'm
just saying those details.
You're lucky we're not
matter,
in the studio together.
Oh man,
everybody's attacking you, and they should. in the chat. So, but yeah, no, I mean, yeah, at least give me 14 out of the next 16 days. Give me the best that you got in those 14
I mean,
days.
if they win all 14, then yeah, they probably could take, or if they win every game for the next 14 days, they probably could take those last 2 days off. So maybe that's what Torey was getting at.
Yeah.
There.
They're 1-0. So it's worked so far. It was an exciting one. It got thrilling, but they're still 1-0. So all right. Well, we got an exciting announcement. I think we've been meaning to announce this all week long, and I'm just, again, you guys are all calling me old. This backs that up. It tracks. Yeah, there it is. Eric is old. Thanks, Damon. You son of a bitch.
Damon likes to hide under the PHNX.
I know. What a coward. He's an absolute coward.
Just like an innocent spokesperson for the company.
We're going to have a special episode on Sunday. Because the Diamondbacks have been moved into the ESPN Sunday Night Baseball slot. Their game time was changed, I believe, from 1:10 to 4:10, and we will be here covering it post game. So make sure to join us for a very special post game show on Sunday, starting after the game wraps up, going 10 minutes after the final out. And I don't know where Jesse will be. He'll be somewhere in the stadium. I'll make sure to grab him and find him somewhere, but I think we're going to be in studio. So join me and Sean there in studio, and Jesse will come to us live somewhere from the stadium. But we're very excited for this series because obviously this is a very important series. And yeah, I know it's a football Sunday, but we don't have a lot of these left. There's not a lot of regular season games left. So make sure to join us 10 minutes after the final out. Yes, Sunday night podcast. Let's go. Also, make sure to fuel yourself up at Circle K. It's America's thirst stop. They have a brand new membership program. Excuse me. Again, the old thing. They have a brand new membership program where you can get drinks so that when you need to cough and you have dry mouth like I have right now, you can prevent that kind of thing. They have all sorts of wonderful drinks over at Circle K. And if you join their Inner Circle program, you will get those drinks for even cheaper. They have a brand new membership program that's free. You can save 25 cents per gallon on gas for your first 5 fill-ups. You can also buy 5, get 6 free on a selection of Circle K products, including pizza, coffee, and ice cold fountain drinks, which I need right now.
There you go.
But join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And also, get Four Peaks beer. It's the beer I'm drinking. Again, the Joy Bus Wow Wheat. It's good for losses. It's good for wins. It's good for any occasion. You can get your Four Peaks at Circle K or anywhere you get your beer. It is the official craft beer of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Of course, you can get it at Chase Field, up there at the Four Peaks draft room, or all around Chase Field. And it is pumpkin porter season, so do not miss out on the pumpkin porter. Back on shelves and in draft lines throughout the valley right now. So don't miss that. Visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all of your favorite brewery tours and events. Stein Holding, win yourself some stuff. Go out there and show those guns off. Oktoberfest, which is always a good time to drink some beers. And of course, the Haunted Brewery Tours, which exposes the fact that ghosts make their beer over at Four Peaks. It's a whole thing they have going on that I don't even want to get into, but all of that's right around the corner. So check out at Four Peaks Brew at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks. Please drink responsibly. And I guess you have to be a ghost to be a brewer over there. I don't know how that whole thing works, but we are going to get out of here. We thank you guys for being here on a Friday night with us. We thank the Arizona Diamondbacks for holding on to a very close victory. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_Caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX D-backs. I'm not going to mess Damon because he'll shout at me from the PHNX Sports account in here. We are Damon's Dogs. And you can follow Damon at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Drop a like. There we go. Get that guy back up there. Jesse, get out of the way again. Anyway, you can follow our show at PHNX D-backs, but all roads do lead to at PHNX Sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We appreciate you guys again so much for stopping by. And again, we will see you guys on Sunday. In the meantime, we thank you for your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when your bullpen doesn't always make it exciting.